Hi and welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. This is a presentation for Cairns Hockey Academy and Cairns Hockey Association. My name is Rob Gronbeck and I'm the owner and founder of Cairns Sports Performance Clinic, the source for sports psychology and coaching advice in Cairns. So this is about parents in sport, what kids want from parents. And in the lead up to the finals, Matt Cooks asked me to put a little bit together to help coach the parents through this stressful time for all concerned. So let's get moving. A study was done in 2011 and they asked, what do kids want? It was a tennis camp, a small group of 57 young boys and girls between 7 and 14 years of age. And they were asked about the various kinds of behaviours their own parents and other kids' parents exhibited before, during and after games. They were also asked how they would like parents to act during sport. Pages and pages of transcripts were analysed and whittled down to 15 key themes which consistently emerged from these 57 boys and girls' replies. What do you think were the most common answers? Take a minute to think now. What a 7 to 14-year-old boy or girl want from their parents at sport, and how would they describe their parents and other parents' behaviours before, during and after games? Well, the first archetype was that of the supportive parent, which was widely accepted and regarded as the most desirable. And the qualities of the supportive parent: there was an attentive silence. 10-year-old boy said they sit down and they don't yell out comments, sit quiet. There was some cheering and they cheer for everyone on both teams, so everyone feels like they're having fun, from an 8-year-old girl. There was encouragement. They encourage us and not discourage us, just give us like positive stuff. So we're using word for word quotes here from an 11-year-old girl. They tell you that you did really well from a 9-year-old girl. And some empathy, which is quite profound. The parents shouldn't cheer so much that other children would feel bad. Isn't that beautiful? And finally, that there was a protective intervention from a young 13-year-old boy who said, well, I mean, if someone will really get hurt, well, then parents can speak up and potentially argue. So from the mouths of babes. And think about the kind of parent that you want to be. The supportive parent, again, is highly regarded and most desired for young children in sports. Which brings us to the next, less desirable and yet described from this study. And the demanding coach uses phrase such as, they're telling us what to do. And they yell, focus, come on, get up there, you can do it. These demanding coaches use techniques, coaching techniques like instruction and advice and critical encouragement. And yet despite the positive intentions and well-meaning parents, these behaviours are just less valued and less appreciated by young athletes. I'm sure you can think of some parents who act as demanding coaches. And finally, the crazed fans was the final archetype of the kind of parent that is sometimes found at sporting venues across the world. And they say mean stuff to us. I'm shaking my head, I can't believe this. They're arguing, and as opposed to not arguing, just cheering us. And blaming, parents who say, oh, don't worry, that umpire was terrible. And yelling. They don't want you to yell at you in a mean way. And cheering when you make a mistake was one of the other things I haven't included. And the biggest one described was the most offensive for these young people was fanatical cheering. When they get overexcited and they start jumping up and down and making an absolute racket. So for young people between 7 and 14, these behaviours might be acceptable at professional sporting in a professional sporting crowd, but at a junior sporting facility or event, are just unwanted by these children. Now, Matt Cook also talked about how we can help with that car ride home. And we've talked about this, me and him, and how tough it is. And both not being parents, we don't have that insight. But we've coached a lot, and we've had so many experiences that we just wanted to bring out a few key points which can assist parents, especially in that car ride home, because it can be uncomfortable and things can be misinterpreted by young people, because their brains are still developing, they're still learning about the world. And it's important to focus on effort, struggle, and persistence despite setbacks. To encourage your children to choose difficult tasks that are worth mastering, to continue to persist and give effort, and how good it's going to feel when they've mastered it, which they might not have mastered on that day or that year or that season. To focus on strategies, to brainstorm with them what didn't work and what did, and learning and focusing on improving. How can we learn from this? What can we do next time? Encourage them to continue to seek those challenges which are worth mastering. And when they work hard and they make progress, celebrate. And when they have a great time and they've had a really good game, remind them that it's not because they're talented, it's because they put in the hard work which helped them to succeed. There's nothing worse than telling a young person how talented and great they are, because that sets them up to have to avoid any kind of failure scenarios. And if you want to look that up further, you can look up Carol Dweck and the growth mindset theory. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips to help with the specific behaviors around mindsets. And this comes from the mastery orientation. So there are 4 key behaviors. The first is reinforcement, particularly for effort. And if effort isn't there, don't reinforce it. But when effort is there, reinforce it, congratulate them. Say, well done for a great effort, as well as good performance. But effort will get you good performance. Reinforcing good performance asks people to continue to perform well. And you can't always perform well, but you can always give effort. The second thing is with mistake encouragement, non-verbal and verbal mistake encouragement. You'll get it. You've just got to work at it. You'll get it. And I'm sure you will get it. And that's that positive belief, because we know that if you do something long enough and you try it enough times in enough ways, you'll eventually master it. So that's the message we want to get to our kids. Now, we can generally leave corrective instructions to the coaches, given in an encouraging and supportive fashion. And if you've got some sports experience, you can give some good corrective instruction, which as long as it's with reinforcement and in a positive non-verbal way. And the technical instructions, again, can be generally left to the coaches. However, if you've got some sporting experience and you can truly contribute, well, then that might be a time to go and do that. But generally leave it to the coaches. Stick with those, encouraging the first 2 points, reinforce the effort and encourage them to keep going. You'll get it. Now, the flip side of the mastery orientation is the ego outcome orientation. And this tends to drive kids away. So kids working hard and playing really well and give massive effort. And maybe we're too busy on our phone or talking to other people to notice that great effort, and therefore it's not reinforced. So a killer is to perhaps miss the good effort that someone's given. And it's not about every kid gets a medal, but we know from years and years of research that the more reinforcement there's given for effort, if there's no effort, don't give praise. But if there is effort, then give it. And failure to give it will often cause a lack of motivation. Now, ignoring or glaring or giving the silent treatment in the car as a punishment, always a no-go. Even if you put so much effort and time and investment into your children's sport, these are definite ways of turning kids off sport. A punitive instruction, such as making your kids do extra laps or extra training to punish them for a certain lack of effort or lack of performance, is not a good way to do it, and nor is using any unkind or sarcastic instruction like, oh, well, we only lost by 55 points. If it was hockey, that would be terrible. So some kind of sarcastic remark is never appreciated, and I think we can all understand that. And any kind of regimenting behaviour where we're forcing new strategies and regimes all of a sudden, in a sudden fashion, like, all right, from tomorrow we're going to do this, and tomorrow we're going to do that. Let that be an option. Let that be a part of your brainstorming where we work out new strategies, going back to the mastery orientation and the growth mindset. Asking the questions, well, what could we do better? How could we prepare better? And then you can generate those alternatives with your child, as opposed to, well, all right, we're going to be doing this tomorrow and that tomorrow and that tomorrow. You want to avoid that, keeping control. So the take-home message, we just want to get out to all the parents that in this high stressful time, we've all put in so much effort, so much time, money, building sheds and doing canteens and shuttling back and forth and all these different travel trips. We just want to remind you to be supportive, be the supportive and encouraging parent. That's really the way to go. Appreciate that others won't have the same orientation, and that's okay. We can only control our own behaviours to a certain degree, so let's do that. And remember that the best coaches use hustle and effort 20% of the time. And if we're not coaching, if we're not doing the technical and tactical instruction, which generally fills up about 65 to 70% of the behaviours, well, then we're really just left with those hustle and effort behaviours, such as, come on, you can do it, let's go. That is at least positive, and yet try and avoid the technical and tactical instruction, leave that to the coaches. And remind administrators and coaches the importance of enjoying sport and the link between having fun and wanting to return to play. The research shows that the more coaches and parents exhibit those 4 key behaviours, the more fun, the more enjoyment is had, and the more kids will come back and then get better the next season and get better the next season. Whereas the more those 4 behaviours of non-reinforcement and punitive punishment and the sarcasm and the regimenting, kids will leave the sport in droves when their coaches and parents use those behaviours. So go through the slides, have a look at them again, and just give yourself a little self-assessment and make the commitment to being that supportive, encouraging parent. It won't create a Olympic champion overnight. It might not at all. We know the percentages are so small for any person out of the whole of Australia to become a hockey-roo, but we can guarantee that if we use those regimenting, those red alert behaviours, well, we can almost guarantee that they won't want to play and continue. So thank you, Matt, for asking me to do this presentation. I hope that's helped. I hope that's been of use to you. I appreciate and accept and respect all the parents who put in so much time for their children, and I wish you all the best for the finals. And I'll see some of you down on Saturday afternoon as I watch some great hockey. So all the best, and I'm Rob Gronbeck. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on Facebook at Cairns Sports Performance Clinic or cairnssportsperformanceclinic.com.au, or ask Matt or David for my contact details. Happy to work with any of you on coaching and psychology for performance enhancement. Okay, all the best, and we'll talk to you soon.